Good morning, CLC. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your exuberant energy, your life essence, who you are and how you are. We are so grateful for each and every one of you. In this moment and at this time, I invite you to just love on yourself, just the way you are. Invite that calm, cooling inner spirit to brighten your life, to help you, to guide you, to shift any negative energy away from your spirit. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in, breathing in love and light. And as you release the breath, release all that no longer serves you. Go ahead and take another nice, deep, cleansing breath in. And when you release this breath, allow your body to just relax, loosening up any tightened muscles, releasing any stress that you may have in your body. Let go of any thoughts of past or future events, and allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself up to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own, for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one very special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in this room or even on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in this room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
I bring you obscure writers very often out of the New Thought movement or the periphery of the New Thought movement. I love the obscure. If you've heard of them already, I'm a little disappointed. If you've done a deep dive into people's work, because I don't know, there's something about that. I like to bring them to you. And next month, not only that, I'm going to bring you obscure music and obscure poetry, lyrics and poetry specifically, that illustrate the points that we make in the Science of Mind. But these will be musicians you probably haven't heard of, or you don't, or it maybe never occurred to you that they had a spiritual side to them. And the same with the poets. It's not going to be the same usual group of poets that you had dragged out before you in English class years ago. No, this is a whole different, and we're going to have some live and in-person poetry too through the month, thanks to our resident poet laureate. Today we wrap up a series based on the writings of an obscure author named Rudolph Otto. I shared with you that I learned of his work by reading another obscure author who had him in their bibliography, and this is just what I do. So, welcome to my world, and thanks for being in it. We're talking about mysticism this month. Right there, you hit a paradox. You hit the first in a long series of paradoxes when you talk about mysticism. And this is something that Otto says. He says, mysticism, the mystical experience is ineffable, meaning it cannot be described. You can't find the words for it. He said, nevertheless, it's the most described thing we have. Every poet, every artist, every musician, every person of an overt or covert spiritual longing hints at or points to the mystical experience, and they can't find the words for it, but it doesn't stop them from trying. And that's exciting to me. Is, you know, we're all, there's a sense of something. There's a palpable sense of something. And this is what drives the experience of religion, the creation of the religious identity. the formation of mythologies and philosophies throughout world history is that somebody had a feeling that there was a power greater than they were. And further, they had a feeling that the power that was greater than they were was right where they were, if only they could make contact with the thing. There's a power and a presence standing back of everything like a third party in the conversation. And we've all known this and we've all felt it. And we try to compare notes on this, you know. And I tell you, the world is not really appreciative of this way of expressing or this way of describing experience, because it drives us toward the unknown, and largely we're afraid of the unknown, which has its own irony to it, since everything that we, as I've pointed out to you all month, everything that we cherish, everything that we adore came out of the unknown. So why are we afraid of the unknown? Well, because it's the unknown. We don't know what's next. We don't know what the thing might spit out next, you know. So when you start talking about a sensibility that's unpredictable, it makes people a little uncomfortable. They'll say, well, that's not in my Bible. Say, that's not in my liturgy. That's not in the way I was brought up. We were told there were rules, and if you follow the rules, you get saved. And if you get saved, you get eternal life, and you're good to go. And presumably in the next phase of eternal life, there are more rules, and you follow those. And that's basically it. And to me, it sounds a lot like high school, actually, if you put it that way. It's graduate to the next grade, new rules. You get a new locker, maybe, you know, but everything else is kind of fresh and different if you're just obedient. And much of religion is about obedience. Which is ironic, too, because all of the founders of the religions have been highly disobedient people who said, I haven't heard yet what I believe. That's the definition to me of an atheist. Atheists are people who on Sunday, they're the least loved people on Sunday mornings in this part of the world, you know, is the atheists, because they're not in any one of these places. They're hanging out. I don't know where they're hanging out. They're hanging out in pool halls or something, you know, if they're open on Sunday mornings. They're hanging out in saloons. No, they're not. You know what an atheist is? An atheist is a person who's not yet heard the story they agree with. They've been told God is this but not that. That you're entitled to so much happiness but not all of it because for some reason or other. That people are good, except the ones who aren't. You know, they've been taught division, separation. So they say, I'm not happy yet with this story, and so I keep looking for something else. Then they find it, maybe, you know, and they settle into a philosophy. Don't ever settle into a philosophy so completely that your feet are cemented in. Always be looking, always be searching. And where do you search? First and foremost, books are great. The teachings of the ages, wonderful. But the main place you search, your own heart. You look within yourself, okay? You find your own answers in there. That's what all of these teachers in New Thought have had to say, is look within yourself, and here are some suggestions for what you might do. So we look within ourselves for the experience of the divine. The divine is, well, he makes some interesting points in here in this book about the immanence of God, that God is omnipresent. The God that I believe in is everywhere all at once. The God of this teaching is everywhere all at once. The only way that it can accomplish this is by being infinite and eternal, by encompassing absolutely everything. It's in the realm of form. It's in the realm of the formless, in everything that is and in everything that could be. However, the experience of the omnipresence, of the omniscience of God comes and goes. It darts in and out. You see, we fall into routine. We fall into habit. We are about accomplishing certain goals. You have a set of goals that are long-term for your life, the great work that you want to create. You have shorter goals like go get groceries, gas up the car, you know. And we get caught up in all of this. And we learn hacks and shortcuts to getting through our day, to figuring out what to do with our money and our possessions, and especially probably our bodies, how to manage our own health. And so we lose sight of the divine. We lose sight of the omniscient and omnipresent spirit back of everything, because we're what? Taking care of business. There's nothing wrong with that. If in trying to get groceries and gas up the car, we were struck with the immanence of God in everything, we would just stand there kind of paralyzed, right? Kind of transfixed. Nothing would happen. We've got to get stuff taken care of. So we set aside time for meditation and prayer and spiritual study to experience the divine on our own terms. But here's the thing, it sneaks up on us. You're in the grocery store and the thing taps you on the shoulder, and all of a sudden, it's probably the music they play. The old songs, no, it's something sneaks up on you. All of a sudden what you see are patterns. What you see is a wisdom. What you see is a kindness, a compassion. That's a thread that's running through all things. And you sense that, and you're surprised by it. And it's like, I don't have time for this right now. Okay, but it has time for you, because it wants to remind you of something. So you start to get comfortable with this, and then that becomes a habit. And it becomes like a companioning energy to you, that at just the right time, or a time that you didn't know that you needed it, the divine presents itself in your awareness. And suddenly everything makes sense. Suddenly you make sense in the world and what the world is about. And everything adds up, and it all just, settles in. Now you have a comfortable relationship with it. Now it's a partnering energy to you. Now you are deliberately and intentionally a co-creator. A co-creator. You learn, among other things, where your own powers leave off and the power of the one life picks up. There's stuff we don't know how to do, like change other people, for example. Move the mountain, There are abilities we just, no matter how good at being ourselves we are, there are abilities we just haven't cultivated yet, and so this thing has them for us. There are ideas that we haven't thought up. There are ideas we didn't know we needed. And all of a sudden, like a complicated engineering problem solves itself in your head, and you think, I don't need this. I'm not an engineer. When's the last time I built a bridge or something? But why is this in my head? Why is this song coming to me? I've never heard this song before. What does it think? I'm a musician or something? Well, there's a broadcasting going on. Ernest Holmes talks about this in Living the Science Mind, where he says you're a spiritual broadcasting station. He's using the radio imagery because this is way pre-internet and all, but the radio's still on. It still works. You're a spiritual broadcasting station. Well, that means not only that you're sitting there sending out the programming, it also means that you're receiving the feed. It's not just an upload, it's a download as well. And so infinite information is expressing itself through you, and you have nowhere to put it. So what do? Well, the practical side of us says, I need to learn how to be an engineer or a musician or an artist or whatever. If this information is going to keep coming to me, I need to give it an outlet. Well, that's one way to approach it. Another way is to just admire it going by. You don't have to do the thing just because you have the knowing. I was listening to some of the music I'm going to bring is blues, because I love the blues, and I was listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Man, I remember the weekend when he passed. He was in a helicopter, and we were here at 1990. Here at Creative Life, upstairs in the other building. And these people coming to our service came in weeping. And I didn't know what had happened. And it turned out I didn't know they were all into his music, but we had a whole group of people that were way into his music. So anyway, he's still around on YouTube and all. And if you listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's an amazing guitarist, right? And the comments that people make about it, they'll say, if you don't play the guitar, he will make you want to pick one up. If you do play the guitar, he'll make you want to put it down. Right? So there's a reaction that we have like, there's no way I could do that. And then from there we peel off into, but I must try. Or, there's no way I could do that, so I won't try that, because I'm just setting myself up. He also said that he played his guitar like it owed him money, which I thought was funny. But anyhow, right, there are things that we look at. You go to the museum, you look at all the beautiful paintings. Is your first thought, I'm not a worthy person because I could not create that? Well, that's just a self-defeating position to take, isn't it? How about look at it and somebody, here's a way to look at it, somebody went to the trouble to make that for me. Okay? Da Vinci saw this lovely woman, not quite sure who she is. They still don't know for sure, you know. And he decided to create this painting of her. And not only that, he did it for me. You can say that. You're not saying by that he didn't do it for you, that it's only for me. No, of course not. But who's looking at it right now? Or in your case, who's thinking about it right now? The Mona Lisa. Well, so it's for you. And all of this is for you, whether you're directly involved in it or not. Now, what I'm describing to you here in a roundabout way is the mystical experience, because if I get one point across at all in this whole series, it is this. There is nothing otherworldly and weird and woo-woo and vague and pointless about the mystical experience. It is life, my brothers and sisters. It is water. It is oxygen, the mystical experience. It is all we really have. Because there is one life, and that life is spirit, and the body falls off, and the money runs out, and everything else disintegrates, evaporates eventually. But this one life, which continues through all life, everywhere. And in the furthest reaches of space, as I was sharing with you a while back, when they put up the Webb telescope, it created an observable horizon that's further than the human eye has ever been able to see. And that light horizon, eventually, runs out. I mean, that's as far as you can see, and you can't see any farther. Until they put up another telescope at some point, a year or 100 years from now, that's a gazillion miles past the Webb, and then the horizon moves, and we say, oh, there's more life out there, there's more space out there, there's more territory. But it's always been there, it's just we couldn't observe it. But in imagination. So in the imagination, the limitless realm of imagination within ourselves is where all the answers are, where the truth is, and where the movement of spirit is afoot constantly in life. And all it wants from us, and this is the spiritual psychology angle that we talk about here all the time, all it wants from you, it's the easiest possible thing and the most difficult thing at the same time. What do you know? Another paradox. Go be you. Just be you. Just be you. Be the gifts that you are and bring them to the world. That's all it asks of you. All the rest is either custom, convention, or convenience, okay? But really all it wants from you is just show up as you. And if you have a problem with that, if anybody has a problem with that and showing up as themselves, there's a remedy, which is go to the source of you and have it remind you how beautiful you are. Like we just sang, how capable you are. Sometimes we're like, okay, I know I'm beautiful, but I'm kind of inept. Well, no, this thing thinks that you're really good at being you. You have exactly what it takes. It puts you with people where you know what to say to them and how to listen to them. Isn't that great? It puts you, even when the conversation seems awkward and stilted, there's a reason why. There's a reason for things. It gives you tasks that are too big for you. It gives you a heart that aches at the pain of the world. Even though each specific pain, there's not a lot you can do about it, it doesn't seem right now. And you're like, I can't deal with more of this. I read an article a while back talking about helping professionals who are, ministers, chaplains, psychologists, talking about people kind of working in the, head space, heart space. It said that you can only care for, I think they'll find this for you online, but I think the number was 17. You can only fully care for 17 people, a maximum of 17 people in your life. And past that number, they start to get less and less of your compassion, because we have a point of exhaustion. We have a point of depletion, where you go into compassion fatigue if you try to embrace all of 17 people. And so the article was meant to be an encouragement to folks to be kinder to themselves. About, you can't get around to everybody, and you can't, we all feel like we're not doing enough and we're not caring enough about the ills of the world. And it said, well, focus on the 17 people. And that's not bad advice, because so often we want to look past our own family and friends and neighbors and be concerned about the ills of the larger world, when the people that are right at hand there could use our help, could use our time and devotion. But here's the thing. If 17 seems like a kind of small number, and it is, I mean, you could fit them all around a large dinner table, I suppose, but you of your own devices can't maybe manage more than that. But you are not simply your own devices. There's a power greater than you are, back of you, working through you, using your heart, using your mind to accomplish its ends, which are simply the cultivation of the remembrance of oneness, that everyone should remember that we are all connected. And so in that way, see, this goes back, you may recall I gave a talk a couple of months ago about empowered or powerless, and how in like 12-step recovery programs there's a mention of the powerlessness of the self, and people sometimes object to that who have a new thought background and say, well, I've just been hearing how empowered I am and how God is all there is, and now it's telling me I'm powerless. Yeah, well, what it means is when you unplug from that one, when you try to go it on the strength of your personality, your willpower, then you find that you're powerless. Your power runs out. You're like the battery in a device of some kind. You don't plug in the thing, no matter how sophisticated the device is, no matter how much money you paid for it. You leave the thing out long enough, it's going to deplete itself, and you get the little red battery sign on there. Well, that's powerlessness, and there's nothing you can do about it until you plug back in. So it is that we cultivate the experience of Spirit. We go to Spirit and we say, show me who I am, show me what I must do in order to fulfill my vision, fulfill my purpose in life. And he uses the expression in here, Rudolph Otto does, about grammar, parts of speech, which I hated. I hated this in school. I hated this more than cutting up frogs in school. I just did. Oh, God, But he makes a point here, and I think it's good. He says, God is the grand subject, capital S, okay? And everything else is a predicate. Everything else modifies the subject. And I thought, now that makes a lot of sense. That's another way of looking at it, Everything is the adjective that modifies the noun. So you and I decide, this is good, that's better, this is wonderful, that's terrible, that should never, we sort things into all these categories as we modify the grand subject. And more than what we do is who we are predicates, I suppose, of the subject ourselves. We carry that subject within us, and we refine it, and we tweak it, and sometimes we completely ignore it, and sometimes we fall on our knees before it in absolute awe and worship this one. And while we're doing that, it just enfolds us. No judgment about what we should be doing, or by now, this is a thing we run on ourselves. I should be further along by now. I should be further along by now. I've been reading, I've been studying, I've been this, I've been that. I've been forgiving. I've been doing forgiveness work. And we say to ourselves, I should be further along by now. And now all of a sudden, all these feelings erupt again, and nothing outside of us judges us for that. We determine our own limits. We decide where we are. So, a regular spiritual practice of being willing to be surprised by awe, by fascination, by wonder. He quotes in here John Rusken, who was an interesting character himself. And he wrote a lot about nature. He was a philosopher. He was into a lot of different subjects, kind of like Swedenborg and some of those people. And this is from a journal by John Rusken, his journals, his diaries. He said, lastly, although there was no definite religious sentiment mingled with it, there was a continual perception of sanctity in the whole of nature, from the slightest thing to the vastest, an instinctive awe mixed with delight, an indefinable thrill such as we sometimes imagine to indicate the presence of a disembodied spirit. I could only feel this perfectly when I was alone, and then it would often make me shiver from head to foot with the joy and fear of it. When after being some time away from hills, I first got to the shore of a mountain river, where the brown water circled among the pebbles, or when I first saw the swell of distant land against the sunset, or the first low broken wall covered with mountain moss. I cannot in the least describe the feeling, but I do not think this is my fault, nor that of the English language, for I am afraid no feeling is describable. If we had to explain even the sense of bodily hunger to a person who'd never felt it, we should be hard put to it for words. And the joy in nature seemed to me to come of a sort of heart hunger, satisfied with the presence of a great and holy spirit. These feelings remained in their full intensity till I was 18 or 20, and then, as the reflective and practical power increased, and the cares of this world gained upon me, faded gradually away. Wow. Okay? Reminds you of stuff, reminds you of other people singing and creating verse around that very idea. I shared with you the one line from E. Cummings. Children remembered, but only a few, and down they forgot as up they grew. So there was a time when the thrill of the divine was what we knew. It was the theme song of our lives. And for him, he says around 18 or 20, well, at some point in time, the cares of the world, the performance anxiety that we had about school and work and relationships and everything else, it kind of took over and edged that out. We feel it from time to time now, and it makes us sad, and it makes us joyful all at once. It's a compelling kind of thing. And, well, we have mixed reactions to it. But it won't leave us alone. There are a lot easier things you could be doing on a Sunday morning than sitting with these thoughts. Okay? A lot easier. You could be sitting reading the news even and have it fall, because there's a certain armor that we put on when we hear these things repeatedly, and you sort it into a bin kind of in consciousness. But when you're talking about God, you're talking about spontaneity. You're talking living outside of space and time. And this is the thing about space and where time comes into all of this, okay? Time is made possible by motion, says physics. Things move through space, and they leave one point and they arrive at another point, and the time it takes them to do that is called duration, and the measurement of duration of movement through space is what gives us time. And so the length of a year is, how long it takes us to go around the sun. Somebody wish you a happy birthday, and they'll say, well, you had another trip around the sun. You're like, what? Well, that's what they're talking about, right? Okay? and the turning of the earth on its axis gives us the 24 hours in the day and all of this, and then we crystallize all this stuff. See, and there's the observatory at Greenwich, and the Earth's time is set on that, and now the Earth is slowing down or speeding up or something, and milliseconds are going to have to be shaved off, I was reading, and all of that. And there's a whole science behind this. But the whole thing is predicate, not subject. It's predicated on something. It's predicated on a motion in a solar system that sits in a galaxy that hovers in a universe. Set all that aside, and all there is now. Take space out of the equation, and all there is here. All there is here. And that's where you are, is here. And you can sit here and think about there. Think about where you're going to be some years from now. So you can mix time and space together. Where am I going to be 5 years from now? That's a whole big space-time continuum question. But while you're thinking that, you're sitting here having that thought. And wherever you go, there you'll be. Right? And what time will it be when you get there? It'll be now. It'll be now. And you know that when you get excited about a project and you really throw yourself into it, time expands. Where did the time go? Wow, suddenly I had enough time to accomplish all of this. Spirit comes into space and time, darts through space and time, catches our attention, dances on past it. Spirit is not bound by space and time. These are effects. It is a cause. That's why we want to spend more time with causes. Make space and time our friends. Make aging our friends. Make comparisons and all of these things just fall away in terms of their importance and meaning to us. And just be here now. And when we do that, a lot else becomes easy. Now we can love ourselves fully. Because the only reason we ever didn't was due to stuff that happened in time and space at some point in the past, right? And we decided I'm not good enough because of that. But if there's only now and here, then that never even happened to me. You never even hurt my feelings. I was never disappointed. I was never a disappointment. You see, it becomes forgiveness. Where does forgiveness go? To not forgive, you got to keep dredging up what happened. Make somebody wrong about it. Make yourself wrong about it. Run the whole scenario. But if there's only now and here, where is that scenario? This is why when you meditate, when you pray in faith believing, not groveling before some imaginary presence that sees you as being all bad and wrong, but taking up your divine inheritance and feeling your strength. This is why when you do that, the table's cleared. Stuff just moves aside and it becomes easier. And we don't have to plod through each and every wrong and each and everything that we did and try to fix it and go back. And I mean, there's a point to that. There's a value to that. But there's more to it than that. And that is that we've always been free. If we just would take it up. If we just would know it. I want to do Otto justice and make sure I've not left out any other critical thing that he had to say. Now this book, you can get this book on Amazon. You can also get it as a free download through our weekly email. There's a PDF of it, and the nice thing is you know about a PDF is you can word search it, and it's got all kinds of cool stuff in it, and you will have, he doesn't have a bibliography at the back of it, but I can send you one if you're interested from the book that I heard about him from, if you're interested in this line of thought that we've been going through today. So again, the idea of the holy. Holiness, as he calls it, sanctity, the mysterium tremendum, the great mystery of life, that's your home. That's the truth of you. That's the essence of you. All the rest is gravy. Some of it good gravy, some of it not so tasty gravy, but it's all, right? It's, yeah, this is the truth of you. So we're busy contracting time and expanding space, spirit in the here and now. Let's see, God's visitation, return. God's eternity is independent of space and time. Yeah, that's basically it. And again, if you're compelled at all by what I've said, these words, these thoughts, and you want to know more about it, best place to look? In here. What if this rings true? Ask your heart, what if this rings true? Ask your heart, what do I do now? What is mine to do? That's something Reverend Marsh always used to say. You remember? What is mine to do? What is mine to do? And it will reveal itself. Let's know together now. One life, one power, one presence, just one. And it's working in and through each one of us, revealing to us that which ought to be known by us. Revealing to us that which ought to be released by us. And that which ought to be acquired. Some new skill or a refinement of an existing one. Confidence, faith, conviction. A big, wide open, compassionate heart. More of the same. This or something better. Whatever this may be. This intangible, this ineffable something. A context in which to hold our lives. It's revealing itself now easily and gently through each one of us. And it comes with joy and excitement and just a little bit of a feeling of risk. Because now there's something more to live up to. There's a mind that sees us as something greater than we've ever dared consider ourselves to be. And we don't want to let it down. Not that we could, but still. For this knowing and its manifestation in form everywhere we turn, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done. And so it is.
When Reverend Jesse was talking, all these puns kept going through my head, and I just couldn't keep them out. But I will not burden you with them. Maybe the first one. When he said obscure, I thought that was something that you stick an ob with. Yeah? And then when he said you're capable, Superman came to my mind. I don't know why, but... Okay, I'm here to do announcements. By the way, there's a couple of ways you can get the announcements. One is sign up for the weekly email, which is the easiest way. And when you come in every Sunday, if you're here in person, then we give you one of these, which has got a list of pretty well everything that's going on, which is the two weekly book studies, The Untethered Soul and Living the Science of Mind, Philosophy Friday on Fridays. And then it includes stuff that's coming up. So as we come up to giving time, just please mentally take your gift in your mind, or actually physically in your hand if you're in person here. And just remember that when you give to our spiritual center, you're actually helping us to pass on to the world a message of hope, a message of love, and a message of a brighter future for the whole world. So please say with me now, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
All right. I'm not going to tell you. Yes, I am. I'm going to tell you how much I love that song. I don't remember. When did it come out? 1976. Oh, God. I was 4. Which then, if you do math, now you know how old I am. I loved that song. I loved that song growing up. Man. Time is always slipping into the future, which means all we have is now. All right, so I do have a couple of announcements for you, and then we will fly like an eagle through this closing treatment. And now we are going to fly like an eagle. Oh. Fly like an eagle. Let my spirit carry me. I don't know if you heard those words, but I did. And that is the very definition of the mystical experience. To sit down and imagine yourself flying like an eagle, and to let your spirit carry you wherever it is going to. And right now, I am currently gliding over the cliffs of Moher. If you haven't been there, please go. It is one of the most beautiful places in Ireland. So, yes, I can be in two places at once. That's the power of spirit. So I invite you to consciously enter into that sacred space, consciously enter into that mystical space, that space where nothing exists but you and the divine, which means everything and nothing exists there. There is one power, one presence, one life, one love. I am a manifestation of that presence. I am a channel of that power. I am the physical representation of that love. I am living that life. As I am doing this, so too do I know that each and every one of you are also. That as we wrap our arms around each other, it is the divine hugging the divine. As we speak gently to each other, it is the divine speaking to the divine. As our spirit flies free and seeks that which only it knows, it always finds that. It carries that power in its claws and sprinkles that love from its wingtips. We are divine love in motion. As we walk through this week, may we know that. May we spread that love from our wingtips and sprinkle that power from our claws and watch amazing things happen. That which we are expecting and that which is unexpected. May we revel in the joy of surprise and stand comfortably in the known and the unknown, knowing that it comes from the divine space, the divine place, from the home that we know, even if we don't remember. And I speak my word into the love with all of the gratitude in my being. And I am grateful for a teaching that reminds us who we are, beloved expressions of that divine. I am grateful for a community that comes together to hold each other and remind each other. I am grateful for our ministers, our practitioners, our musicians. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am grateful for the technology that allows us to send this out into the ethers. And I am grateful because it feels good to be grateful. And I release my word into law with that love, knowing that it is done. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind. I feel it in everything I am. I choose it. I trust it. I use it. And I love it. And so it is. All right.